Namaste, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you to this session that Master has invited us all to attend. This evening, we will be listening to two presentations. The first one will be from Joan Even on her inspiration that came out of the recent Preceptor Refresher Program. And the second presentation will be from Dr. Raj Lakshmi Thakur, a globally recognized innovator. So we will begin with Joan. Sister Joan Even is a long-time Abhyasi and trainer, and she lives in a town called Manchester in Massachusetts in the US. She has been leading the Swadhyay group in the US, and this is where a team is working on creating short glimpses of the mission's book in what is a Blinkist style. And they are then available on the Heartfulness learning platform. This work that she will share with us today is part of that process and was also inspired by her immersion in Lalaji's Complete Works Volume 4, which was part of the Preceptor Refresher Program. For the past 5 years, she has also been teaching a full semester course on Heartfulness at Endicott College, Beverly, Massachusetts. It's a pleasure to have you with us today, Joan.
Thank you, Lalita. It's really nice to be here. So let me start by sharing my screen. Okay. So my name is Joan. Hi, everyone. It's nice to be here with you all. About 4 months ago, or actually back in November, I was taking the Preceptor Refresher course, part 1. And one of the books that was the required reading was the Complete Works of Ramchandra, Volume 4, Lalaji's work. I was really touched by this work and got so many wonderful suggestions for how to dig deeper on my journey. So amidst all these suggestions was this metaphor about staying connected to Source, staying connected to our guide. Lalaji used the term keep vigil on the heart. And it really touched me and helped me. So I thought, I'm being invited to dig deep into this book, Volume 4. So let me grab those passages that are meaningful to me and make a course of it for the Swadhyaya group and the Glimpses courses. So in that effort, I started thinking about, what's involved with keeping vigil? And I started thinking about bringing in the whole idea of consciousness and how Daaji talks about consciousness and also about our condition. So those two things, expanding our consciousness and always being aware of our condition. So today, what I'd love to share with you are some passages from Complete Works Volume 4, along with passages that talk a little bit about what's consciousness, how do we expand it, and also what do we do with our condition? So let's have fun together. This is about a 25-30-minute presentation. And let's explore these words of our teachers together. So the agenda. First, let's look at 3 passages of Lalaji's where he's encouraging us to keep vigil on the heart and telling us what it is. Then let's look at some of the guidelines for keeping vigil, evolving our consciousness, feeling our present condition, and preparing for the next condition. And then let's go back to the Complete Works, Volume 4, and look at a few insights that Lalaji offers to help us on our journey. First passage that I'd like to share of Lalaji's. The heart is so tender. Let's read the passage together. The heart is so tender that it begins to droop even by the slightest circulation of wind. I love this statement and started to think, geez, Joan, are you really taking seriously this connection that's so temperamental? It reminded me of Babaji's sharing that he couldn't disconnect from Lalaji even for a second. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing here, but I never really understood what he meant by that until I read this. And then I started thinking about Daaji's sharing with us how he was really touched by Charaji's poise and how Charaji never rushed, even while he was cooking. I like to think of Charaji cooking and enjoying cooking. So this whole idea of staying connected to our heart made me think about slowing down. So what happens to your connection within your heart when you get up or move too quickly? What would you do differently if you treated this connection with your heart like a candle that you're in charge of keeping lit? The heart is so tender. Keep vigil on the heart. Among the many practices of spiritual seekers is the practice of keeping vigil on the heart. This means they observe the condition of the heart in the present moment. And when they see any change or deviation, they correct it. So here, Lalaji is reminding us, or telling us, what keeping vigil is all about. We're observing the condition of our heart. We can only do that in the present moment. And when we see any change or deviation, we correct it. So Lalaji is inviting us to be present, to breathe, and to feel our condition, to stay connected to our heart. Feel the source of light in your heart. The seeker should now mentally look towards his heart and try to feel the presence of God in his heart. So Lalaji's brought us here. He's to the core of our heartfulness practice. He's reminding us to start with a thought, thinking a thought, and then move towards feeling that essence of love, that source of light in our heart. So again, it's about feeling. Okay, so here we are, invited, encouraged by Lalaji to look at our practice, staying in remembrance, as an exercise in keeping vigil on the heart. So now let's bring in the idea of consciousness, evolving our consciousness, and looking at our condition, or feeling our condition. So Lalaji suggests that we correct any deviation in this effort to keep vigil. In that effort, let's check our consciousness. So we know that our consciousness is that lens for perceiving and handling life. So our consciousness has three aspects, our teachers tell us: the ego, the mind, and the intellect. So as we check how we feel, what we feel, we check our consciousness. The ego, am I listening to the voice of my inner guide? Am I letting that wise, loving inner guide comfort and support the parts of me that might need some support? Am I calling upon that voice of love that's in me, my inner guide? So I'm operating with an inner dialogue of love. As my higher self or my inner guide comforts the parts of me that need comfort. Okay, so there's my ego evolving. Then my mind, I look at, what is my mind doing? My mind is the action. My mind is handling the situation. Is my mind thinking, feeling, being? So I'm invited to check on, am I breathing? Am I settling in my heart? Feeling that source of light in my heart? Tapping into the transmission that's available there. So I've checked on my ego. Hey, is my inner dialogue one of love? Love. Am I letting my inner guide be in charge? Is my mind resting in my heart? Am I feeling that source of light? And lastly, my intellect. Am I accepting the situation instead of judgment, instead of judging? Am I in a situation that's not serving my highest purpose? If not, I leave the situation. If I have to stay in the situation, let me make sure that my attitude is one of acceptance, so that I'm connected to my source, focused on that connection, as opposed to an expectation outside. So we talked about looking at our consciousness as we check in on ourselves. Now let's look at it from the perspective of our condition. So here are some instructions on handling our condition. So Daaji mentioned that he found it helpful to follow what Babaji did in staying in touch with his condition. So the first instruction, connect to your guide through your heart. The second, adjust to your present condition, absorb it, and deepen it. The third, prepare for the next condition and look forward to it. So notice how these are all about feeling. So having our mind in our body, our awareness settled at our heart, connected to source, feeling and bringing it and enlivening, imbibing, becoming one with that condition. So expanding it, not thinking about it, just feeling it at the heart and connecting to our inner guide. And lastly, be vigilant about our surroundings, being true to our highest potential. So again, checking on our intellect, that we're not judging, that we're accepting. So staying connected to our source, to our inner guide. This is a paraphrase here that I took from Designing Destiny, Daaji's work, page 72. So we're talking about our condition. Now let's look at these 4 conditions that Babaji found are involved as we move through the heart region, mastering each point. But also, each of these 4 conditions is involved in every growth experience that we encounter. So these 4 conditions, the first, suffering. The second, craving. The third, emergence. The fourth, forgetfulness. So again, Babaji describes these 4 conditions in a sentence or 2. And here's just one word to summarize them. So I know I'm having the most challenge in the first condition, the suffering condition, which I look at as like that opportunity to become comfortable with discomfort. That condition where we're feeling uptight or worried, sad, angry, and yearning to move through it and expand. I found it really empowering to know that suffering is a condition. It's a part of our spiritual experience, of our expansion, of our transmuting dark into light or lack into abundance. So it's really empowering for me to see this here as one of the conditions. So here, Babaji is reminding us to feel the condition. Instead of thinking about it, just go right to our heart and connect to our guide, to keep vigil. Feel the condition that is present before you, whether it is light, medium, heavy, instead of thinking about the effect it is creating on the heart. Do you ever feel uptight or heavy and judge yourself for feeling that way? I know I certainly do. And it's helpful for me to remember, Joan, this is the first condition. Get down to that heart of yours and breathe. Connect with that light and that love. Connect to your inner guide. Okay. So let's step back. So we have this invitation to look at our staying in remembrance, connected to our source, to our inner guide, through our heart. Keep vigil on the heart. And then we're reminded, check on our consciousness. What is that ego doing? Is there an inner dialogue of love? Are you letting your inner guide be in charge? Secondly, where's your mind? Are you breathing? Feel that source of light in your heart. And then lastly, Joan, are you judging the situation? This is where I usually sabotage myself. That, yeah, I have an inner dialogue of love for myself. I'm breathing, but I started judging and having an expectation. Okay, so now let's go back to volume 4. Let's look at 6 suggestions that Lalaji makes to help us on our journey, to help us in this effort to keep vigil on our heart. The first, trust that you are progressing. Do you ever doubt that you're evolving or think you're in a rut? Lalaji saying, when a perfect link is established with the heart through practice, then there's no fear of losing what has been attained. Though one may see light at times and not at other times, trust that you are progressing. So trust ourselves. That light, that love is already in there. We've attained it. And now we get to use it and expand it and transmute some of that worry or that lack that we're experiencing on the outside into more light and more love. Trust that it's natural to feel anxious sometimes. The condition of a master is extremely refined. Therefore, it contains the feeling of anxiousness, which is intrinsic to restriction and to the condition of motherly concern for the welfare of others. So as we embark on this spiritual journey to become more love, to become masters of ourselves, we're becoming more sensitive, more loving. So it's natural for us to feel anxious sometimes. There's nothing wrong. What we're learning, though, is to stay connected to our inner guide, to that love, while we're moving through any of this anxiousness. So maybe feeling anxious sometimes is natural and a part of your spiritual journey. There's nothing wrong with you. It's a part of the process, becoming comfortable with discomfort. Do not reveal your secrets. This is a big one for me. I think I often reveal my secrets, but not anymore. One should not reveal one's secrets to anyone, whether those secrets pertain to spiritual training or certain worldly incidents, as by revealing them, one loses the benefit. Are there times when you share a thought with someone and regret that you did so? Is this a secret that maybe you could handle within and build a closer relationship with your inner guide by doing so? I want to just step back and share a little story about not revealing your secrets. It was back in 2007. My family and I went to India for the first time. I went to Tirupur for the gathering for Charity's birthday. And then we went to Cochin afterwards. My husband and my kids were in third and fifth grade at that time. So we then drove to Cochin, and we flew from Cochin to Mumbai. We were heading back home. So there we were, ready to touch down in Mumbai. And all of a sudden, we were ready to land. We were pretty close to the tarmac. And all of a sudden, it started pouring like it pours only in India. It was pouring so hard that I guess the pilot thought that it wasn't safe. So he brought us back up above the rain. Well, I was a little nervous at the time. I remember looking over at the kids. They were both reading Harry Potter. And Mike was relaxed. I think he was kind of enjoying the ride. I was a little uptight. And I decided, okay, I got this. We went down again. It was pouring again. We had to go back up. Again, I was very uptight, but I was working it through. Nestled in my heart. I didn't think of it like this at the time, but becoming comfortable with discomfort, but also not revealing my secret. I didn't share that I was really uptight. I just worked with my own inner guide, breathed, connected to my source, to my guide, and moved through. We went back down again. It wasn't raining. We landed. Let's move to the next passage. Be sensitive to gifts from your guide. Masters sometimes have the habit of imparting secret teachings to disciples in private. The disciple is then overwhelmed by gratitude in his heart. I can certainly relate this to that airplane ride over Mumbai. Because as I was leaving, I was thinking, leaving India, one more opportunity to go through a little bit of a challenge and transmute some lack into abundance. Reflect on an occasion when you felt assisted by your inner guide in silence. What did it feel like? Lalaji is telling us here to talk less. So why don't we read this one together in silence? Move beyond both good and bad. If a seeker has a bad thought, he should consider that also to originate from the same source. He should therefore not entangle himself in the duel of good versus bad and waste time and effort. Can you see the value of not judging anything and instead seeing all as originating from source? So I know many of you have probably already read this 4th volume of Lalaji's. For those of you who haven't, I hope that you enjoyed those passages. And those of you who have, I hope you did as well. A few of the special nuggets from that beautiful work. So to summarize, keep vigil on the heart. Always activate your most evolved state of ego, mind, and intellect. Always feel your condition and anticipate your next one. Remember, suffering is a natural part of every growth experience. Trust that you're progressing. It's okay to feel anxious. Do not reveal your secrets. Be sensitive to gifts from your guide. Talk less. Move beyond judging. I'd like to end with these few words of Daaji's. The most important loss to me is when I am not absorbed in him. Enjoy keeping vigil on your heart. Thank you. Enjoy reading Complete Works, Volume 4. And if you want to look at Keep Vigil on the Heart, the self-study glimpses course, it's available on our learning.heartfulness.org site under the Glimpses of Transformation. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you, Joan. It
You're
was an
welcome.
insightful presentation on how one might really study a book. It's really amazing.
Thanks, Lalita.
Master, would you like to share anything at this moment? Master?
Well, I wish all our trainers prepare themselves just like Joan and impart this wisdom to one and all, to all abhyasis, to enable them so that this tradition of inner divinization can continue forever. We have always been talking about, quoting Babuji, that how through Sahaj Marg we move from animal level of consciousness to human level of consciousness to divine level of consciousness. We have yet to see the full-fledged expression of human consciousness. We have not even touched the level of divine consciousness, and that cannot happen unless we pass out of the human consciousness. The entire exercise Sister Joan has been emphasizing is only this: be vigilant enough to monitor your consciousness, help it propel by working through your mind, through your intellect, and through your ego. And all this through feelings, and see where you are deviating. Wonderfully expressed by Lalaji and beautifully summarized by our dear Sister Joan. I wish we can have one more session on some other book, and I will soon send it to you. These two books, actually, one was released in 1957 by Babuji Maharaj, and one was released in either 1969 or 1970, only for preceptors. It was not even meant for prefects. So I will soon send you the soft copy of it. We are sharing the hard copy of it during this Bandara, the upcoming Bandara. So I wish all our preceptors would ensure that they get a copy of it for themselves, and make sure you store this booklet away from everyone, because that is also a kind of secret. Just as you are not verbally to talk about the secrets, certain books are also needed to be hidden from ordinary minds. Because reading such literature spoils them, spoils their confidence, spoils their conditions, etc. Well, talking of awareness, consciousness, we always have defined in lately what is consciousness. There's a great debate everywhere. You can see what is consciousness. But a real practicant of Sahasmarg will understand it is nothing but a degree of our awareness, or unawareness for that matter. But is it everything? I don't think so. You can become aware. There is a saying by Swami Vivekananda, awake, arise, and rest not till your goal is achieved. You become aware, for example. You become more vigilant. But then what next? What do we do with this vigilance? What do we do with this awareness? Unless there is a next step to awareness, it will die its own death. Awareness has to be translated into action. That's why we often talk of Karma Yoga so often, because Karma Yoga is a manifestation of your bhakti, manifestation of your knowledge. If knowledge and your devotion is not reflected in your action, it's hollow. And that's why Karma Yoga is so important. We have to act on it. For example, when sister talks about anxiousness, Lalaji says it is okay to be anxious for your children, for example. And our abhyasis who come to us, they are also like our children. Are you anxious about their progress? See, once we become aware that this abhyasi who has come to us for spiritual growth, that person may not even understand that they are here with us for a spiritual growth. They may come for just simple peace of mind, or they want to get rid of certain bad habits. It's okay. We help them get out of it, and along with that, give the main gift of creating craving in their hearts for spirituality. We cannot give the gifts directly to our abhyasis, but create a craving in their heart so that they start working on it. And as moment they begin working on their improvement through preceptors, inspirations, I think this awareness will translate into action. Inspiration leads the abhyasis to some sort of awareness and further inspire them. Look, tomorrow or day after tomorrow, you sit at home or come to me, I will give you another sitting. You see? So it's very beautiful, engrossing abhyasis, time after time. Come, let me give you a sitting. And when they come for a sitting, take appointment for the next sitting also. Instead of abhyasis requesting, you start. And nothing wrong if abhyasi request and they come, fine. But then onward, you make an appointment. You see? When you say, come next week, can you imagine what happens to an abhyasi's heart at that moment? I do still remember when Draupadi Ben, my preceptor, or Rajgopalan would tell me, Kamlesh, please come next Monday. I will give you a sitting. So till that Monday comes, I'll be busy thinking about why did he call me? Why? What does he want to do on me? What sort of condition he's trying to create in me? So I become more vigilant from inside, anticipating what may happen next. So we are indirectly creating a state of vigilance in abhyasis through such dialogues. When we give an appointment, next appointment, it creates some sort of vigilance, anxiousness. Not only you are anxious, but abhyasis also become anxious. What is he trying to do on me in my next sitting? So that is a good aspect. Well, instead of waiting for my turn, let me finish what I was going to share with you all. Since I began to talk, sorry, Raji, I have taken over from your turn. Okay. The topics I like to share, we are soon releasing a book. I've been contemplating writing this book perhaps since 2013 or 14. It's on Wisdom Bridge. Soon we will send a chapter on parenting from this upcoming book to all our preceptors, and you can also share it to all our abhyasis, in fact. Please read this with your family members and see how it is. And give me your comments. Please share your comments. First chapter. It will be released, I think, on 28th of September this year by Penguin. Second thing is, our needs for preceptors is escalating in certain areas in our country. We are concerned also. The other day, Brother Harpreet came sharing his brilliant idea of preceptors. There are two major categories of preceptors. He says one is a hunter, second is a farmer. And I like this analogy. Hunters are those who are involved with connect programs, going out to corporates, going out to villages, going out to temples, going out to schools and colleges, and they spread this message. Such preceptors or volunteers, they go out and make these new seekers experience. They have the fragrance of Sahajmarg, and later on inspire them to reach out to these farmers kind of preceptors who will deepen their practices, who will deepen their devotion in the practice. So there are preceptors who like those who do not have the ability to express themselves or talk too much, or they're afraid of talking in colleges or in temples. It's better to stay home and wait for this new seekers brought by hunter preceptors, and look after them with your abilities. But I would like to take it further also, So far, we have been preparing preceptors almost every month. Almost 2,000 or so we have been preparing, or 1,000 per year. But I like to prepare now more, maybe 10,000, maybe 20,000 per year, new preceptors. And it is quite challenging. How do we do that? The guidance comes to my heart now is this, that those preceptors who have undergone this refresher program, listen me carefully. Those preceptors who have undergone refresher preceptors course, they would be able to participate in training the trainers. let us say a center like Bhopal, and you need 100 preceptors. So those preceptors who have undergone this refresher course will be able to train these preceptors, new candidates. The way you have been trained by our team at Kanha, you will be replicating the same program there. But since you have gone to a next level of training at Kanha through your refresher program, I think you are better equipped to deliver such programs. So it will be wonderful, and I have the list of all those who have attended, and I would also encourage all those preceptors who have not yet gone through this refresher program, kindly do that so that you are also in a position to train preceptors or new candidates. Of course, once you have finished the preparation of such candidates, they'll have to come to Kanha for the final sittings at headquarters. But we avoid this exercise of 3 months of training from headquarters and then bringing them here and train them again. And so we rely on your efficiency, we rely on your professionalism. If you are not able to work properly, your product, your new trainer will also be lacking those abilities. So only those preceptors who are able to train should come forward. It is not something about ego fulfillment that, oh, I can do it. Of course, it's very interesting to do the job, but to do it efficiently so that you can produce, you can give to our great master a kind of a Guru Dakshina. That yes, I'm able to prepare a new candidate and making them as a preceptor. It's a great Guru Dakshina to our great master. Prepare them as perfectly as possible. How to prepare them? Please consult our team. In fact, all these refresher, all the preceptors gone through the refresher course and like to continue with the services, maybe we can meet during the Bandara time, though I generally don't meet people. But if you can come 2 days early, then we can all meet together and see how we can take up the program further. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I think that's all I wanted to convey. Now, Sister Raji, your turn. Thank you. Unmute
So if
yourself.
I may just introduce Dr. Rajalakshmi Borthakur for all those who may not know something about her. She's the founder and CEO of TerraBlue XT, and she's a globally recognized innovator and has demonstrated the history of product innovation. Her product innovation TJ can predict epileptic attacks, and another product, Shan, is the world's first commercial technology for the automatic identification of mental disorders, including anxiety, depression in individuals. Dr. Rajalakshmi was inspired by her son's struggle with epilepsy, and that made her start this venture. And she started it in 2016 and has successfully been able to create multiple products, multiple innovative products in the area of neurology and mental health. She has been conferred honorary doctorate for contribution to science. Dr. Rajalakshmi has also received recognition from Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji. And she has also been named a Forbes Women Trailblazer. She has been awarded several awards and is considered one of the 12 women transforming India Transforming India by United Nations and Niti Aayog. Being an experienced meditator herself and having seen firsthand the therapeutic power of meditation, Rajalakshmi's special interest lies in establishing meditation as an acceptable, scientifically backed therapy for self-healing for those suffering from anxiety, depression, and pain. Along with her, we have Brother Gyan Sarinji. He is a heartfulness trainer and is also head of corporate affairs in Dr. Rajalakshmi's company, Terra Blue Explorations Private Limited. Over to you both.
Thank you so much, Narita ma'am, for this introduction. I would like to say a warm hello to all the people that are present in today's meeting. And I would like to start my session by, first of all, conveying my gratitude to Daaji for supporting us in every step of our research work. We have gone through terrible times and, we have lost hope, but you have been supporting us even through those times as well. And it's your words of inspiration and motivation that has enabled us to come to this forum today and share our journey, as well as talk about the new product that we want to launch with Heartfulness Institute. So thank you, Daaji. And I would also like to thank some of the key people in Heartfulness that have helped us over the years. Special thanks to Sanjay Sehgal, to Babu Guram, Snehal Deshpande, Dr. Rahul Mehrotra, Dr. Natwar Sharma, for supporting us all these years and enabling us to collect data, screen people, give a scientific basis to our work, and overall providing us the guidance while we try to establish heartfulness as an acceptable science-backed therapy for mental health. So with this, I will share my screen and take you through the work that we have done. And Gyan will take over from me and he will start talking about our collaboration with Heartfulness and what we are looking at doing in the near future. So as Lalita ma'am pointed out, we are a neurosciences company. We work in the area of neurology and mental health. When we started our work in 2012, our goal was all about trying to understand why we behave in a particular way in different situations. What does anxiety look like when we plot it graphically? Or what does depression look like when we plot it graphically? And we were not able to find too many answers. And we started working on trying to understand the biomarkers for mental disorders. And while we were at it, we realized that when we study anxiety, we also must study the nature of calmness because both of them are opposite of one another. And without understanding the nature of calmness, our study on anxiety or other mental disorders would not be complete. And with that thought in mind, we reached out to Heartfulness Institute and Dr. Natwar Sharma and Dr. Sanjay Sehgal were one of our first contact people. And with the blessings of Daaji, we were able to start our research on calmness. And after all these years of working with several meditators, over 1,000, we are very happy to share with you that we have an exact mathematical formula for calmness. We can actually write it out on paper and show what happens to a person when they go through meditative practices over a certain period of time. So that's how we got introduced. This was a little bit about how we got introduced to Heartfulness and how we started working with Heartfulness. And the context of our work is that too many people in the world have a mental health problem. Almost 1 billion people in the world have a mental health problem. And in India, the numbers are very high. 33%, 34% almost of our population have depressive disorders. And the issue with mental health diagnostics and treatment, as we found out, is that it is the only field in modern medical science where no technological tools are used for diagnosis. So there is no tool to assess what is the severity or the frequency of different kinds of mental health disorders. There is also no tool to understand recovery mechanisms. So mental health diagnosis is very subjective, and it's been so all over the world. The tools and technologies, not technologies really, but the tools and the equipments that doctors use are actually very manual. They are question answers, and doctors, psychiatrists, or psychologists generally follow the DSM-4 or the ICD-9. These are the two documents, manuals that doctors go through to identify what is happening with an individual. Because the entire system is very subjective, it is very difficult for doctors to identify what's really going on with an individual. And it's a documented fact that to understand depression in its entirety in an individual, it may take up to 7 years for a doctor. And within this time, the pharmacological treatments that happen, the changes of the drugs, the introduction of different kinds of interventions, if they're not done in the right way, may actually be more harmful for the end user. Therefore, there is no easy way to address this issue. Now, in any other field of medical, doctors would not do a proper diagnosis without having some kind of a test done, which involves either drawing blood or doing something with some electronics, maybe like an ECG or an EEG or an MRI. But when it comes to our mental health, something which is governed by our brain, we do not have a tool. And therefore, the biases are high. There are errors in treatment, there are errors in diagnosis, and the number of doctors, the number of psychiatrists, the number of psychologists all over the world is so low that it's difficult to bridge the gap between those that are suffering and those that are providing care. And this is the area in which we operate. And so we introduced this system, this device called Shanti. This is a medical grade AI-enabled system that automatically tracks anxiety, depression, and also does recovery management. What it means is, if you wear our device for 15 minutes, if you come to our clinic and we ask you to sit, you wear our device for 15 minutes, and without you telling us a word about who you are or what you're going through, we are able to identify what is going on with you and who you could be, so that when we have the conversation with you, we can come directly to the point. And because it's so focused, it is slightly easier for us, our therapists, to guide you into a path of recovery. And as recovery happens, say for example, somebody with panic disorder might have been suggested meditation as a therapy. So as that individual undergoes that therapy, we can live stream that individual's brain onto the screen, and the therapist can see whether the therapy is working or not working. And if it is not working, they have enough information to put that individual on the right track. So this is what our device does. And these are our functional prototypes that you may have seen in Kanha, in Bangalore or Hyderabad, that we use for our data collection purpose. These are patented hardware and software, and the entire technology belongs to our company. This is how the commercial product is going to look like. So it's a smart watch, which is like really smart, and then it's got a detachable ring unit. So when you want to do a medical grade measurement, you need to wear the smartwatch along with the rings. and you can do this at home or whenever you feel you are convenient. But when you go out, you can just remove the rings and go and keep wearing the smartwatch. So over a period of time, if you wear the smartwatch and the ring accessories over, say, a couple of months, the system, the AI learns you completely, and such that you can use the ring unit less often, and you can just keep wearing the smartwatch to get all your measurements. So the science is that we track the autonomic nervous systems. So we have our methodologies to understand or track the autonomic nervous system using a cognitive computing AI-based technology stack. What we have done is the biofeedback devices that some of you may have seen in the past or even now, they are big devices. So we have been able to condense this entire big, huge technology into something very, very small. And we have also used AI technology, and that gives it the added edge of very distinctly and clearly telling us what issues an individual is going through. Our work is available in one of the papers that is currently in preprint. Kindly take a look at it. We will be happy to take you through it. If you want to know more about the research that we have done or the methodologies that we have used, everything is there in this paper, and you can write to us and we'll be happy to take you through them. So coming to our work with Heartfulness, we started working with Heartfulness in 2016. And our goal was to understand the scientific nature of calmness. That was a small goal, but over the years, we ended up learning a lot of other things from Heartfulness, and by measuring or taking data from the people in Heartfulness. We have understood the effects of meditation very clearly, and we can defend it. And our goal is to get it prescribed as a scientifically, clinically backed system for taking care of anxiety, depression, or pain, and other kinds of different disorders. On the left-hand side, you see this is the data of an individual who has both anxiety as well as depression. On the right-hand side, where it's mentioned Heartfulness meditation, this is data of an individual that is undergoing Heartfulness meditation. Both of these individuals, the one with depression, anxiety, plus the one who is doing the meditation, they were both asked to undergo or do meditation. And this is what it looked like, So the person who has been meditating over a period of time, they were able to come to a very, very still state where they were just sort of breathing. Their body was working very optimally. They were not asleep. They were very much awake. They were very awake, but they reached a very, very, very different level of calmness. And it was great to notice it in one person when we first started. But as we started working with Heartfulness practitioners, we realized that this is not an exception, but it's a norm. That people who have been in the system for at least over 5 years are able to come to this kind of a meditative state in 2 minutes. So the next is, we also studied the effect of meditation in groups, and this was also astonishing. This was all people who were undergoing transmission. And as you can see, the graphs, these are all the graphs, the colorful lines are lines of each individual people. And on the left-hand side is their data in the first 10 minutes. And on the right-hand side, it is towards the end of their meditation. And if you see the values, they started off from 0.7 and all that, and then they ended up in 0.1. So all of them seem to be very calm towards the end of their meditative exercise. In fact, this was so shocking for us that we had to, redo this. We did the analysis over and over again to make sure that we are not making a mistake. But it was a revelation to see so many people calm down so beautifully in the 30-40 minute session that they meditated together. We also saw that the mental traits of meditators change over a period of time. And this is a publication that we are going to do soon. And majority of the people, almost about 80% of the people that have been in the system for a longer period of time, their behavior have changed. They have become less aggressive. They have become less sensitive towards outside stimulations. They have become more tolerant, and we have the documentation for those. It's very heartening to hear their experiences. We are not only just collecting the data, but we also have the testimonies about how their natures have changed over a period of time. And as somebody who is deep in mental health, this is very interesting to note that, there is some hope for me as well, that if I do meditation for a longer period of time, then maybe I could end up becoming like one of these people. We also understand or study the effects of meditation, as in we know that if you see this graph on the left-hand side, it's just coming down. Both the graphs on the left-hand side look similar. It says that an individual is becoming calmer. But on the right-hand side, where you have these colorful dots, we see that though they are calmer, their experiences say different things. For the top, the individual on the top, there are more dots on the left-hand side, and for the individual on the right, there are more dots on the right-hand side. They're moving towards the right. So this kind of a thing tells us that though a person has become calm, meditation has not had its full effect on them. If the dots are on the left-hand side, that means that despite sitting in meditation for 40 minutes, the impact of meditation, where their body is supposed to go into a state of balance, that has not happened. And there could be multiple reasons for that happening. There could be coming with some impressions, or they may be undergoing certain things. And all of that is not allowing them to have a good meditation experience. We also try to understand what happens when people are allowed to rest, as in if we ask people to come meditate or just sit with us or relax with us for some time, are they able to do so? If not, why? And what happens if they are able to relax? So we are also able to show this information to them live. And the study of fatigue and recovery tells us about the cumulative effect of sleep and what it is doing to the heart of an individual. Like really from a clinical perspective, how a person is getting affected by the lack of sleep and fatigue in their bodies. So this is all about the work that we have done. And like I said, I'll be happy to share more details with all of you. If you are interested, please do write to me at raji@deblux.com. Many of you have my phone numbers. Feel free to call me, and I'll be happy to share more details. For the next part of the presentation, Gyan is going to take you through our next steps, as in what are we planning to do next with Heartfulness. And over to you, Gyan.
Thank you, Raji. Namaste, Daaji, and namaste all dear brothers and sisters. I'll just take a minute to share my screen. So is the screen visible?
Yes, Gyan, it's fine.
Thank you. So the purpose of this collaboration between Terra Blue and Heartfulness, we are aspiring to change the way mental well-being is assessed and addressed globally. So it is a lofty goal, but we feel very inspired by the encouragement that Daaji has given us. We have, like all our system, we have an aspiration that we'll be able to do this in due course. To achieve this goal, we've broken it down into some objectives. As of now, we start with the objective of assisting all Abhyasis to monitor their mental state objectively and measure the impact of their practice. Secondly, to provide assistance to all abhyasis through therapeutic interventions, supporting them in their spiritual journey. So, as trainers, we must have come across abhyasis who are wanting to meditate, wanting to benefit from the practice, but they have some issues. Some of them suffer from trauma. Some of them have phobias. We try to address them, but it may be useful to put them through some other therapeutic interventions as well, which can then make them more sort of, amenable to benefiting from meditation. Some of them in certain periods of time are not able to meditate well and take benefit from the system. So we have a whole lot of other therapies, which are now, many of them are available at Kanha as well. So we will be looking at these interventions to support those who are in need. And the overall objective is to establish heartfulness as an evidence-based practice to achieve and sustain mental well-being, which Raji talked about. So these are few objectives which we can outline right now, but these are not exhaustive. As we go along in the journey, we could find more and add more. So as of now, we'll have 3 verticals for this collaboration. The first is the Shant Lounge. We will be setting up lounges. And then there are the therapies. Some of them already exist. We will be adding some more. And the third are the devices. So we'll just take a look at each of them. The lounges will be set up initially in the metros and where we have resources, both in terms of human resources and investment. We already have some heartfulness lounges, which can also then offer help through Shant. And eventually, these lounges will expand in numbers and scope as we go along. The devices as of now is Shant, which is a patented and wearable device, along with the app, and it is ready for pre-order. It will take some time to come in this form as you see it, and we will be in touch with you over this process. And it is specifically, as Raji already explained, it is for this specific purpose of understanding medical health better and to provide insights about recovery through various interventions, including meditation. This is the app which will come along with the device. It comes free. And of course, the therapies, some of them you are maybe aware already are available at Kanha. We will be integrating them and also offering some more. And there are these very simple looking activities, but they have a great therapeutic effect. And this is something which we can actually measure for the first time through this device. We know that they work. We know that at times they give us great comfort and great well-being, a sense of well-being. But how much exactly? And of course, all therapies don't work for everybody. So that's another thing which we will be able to do with the help of these devices. What is working better for an individual, we will be able to know and then design a customized program for every individual. So what are the insights that we can get through this device? And as of now, we are looking at abhyasis as the users. So what is the current state of mind? We can measure stress levels, positive emotions, negative emotions, recovery levels, anxiety levels, which Raji's already spoken about. Then what are the emotions? What are the trigger factors for emotions? If we could understand them better, we can then create a strategy for ourselves. And as of now, we are only looking at individuals. We are looking at ourselves as being the users. We are not looking at the possibility of applying this on abhyasis as trainers. As of now, we will get first accustomed and we'll to understand the device and how it works in the first phase. And it will also help us to see the degree and the gap between negative and positive emotional fluctuations that we have. And then what brings in relaxation? What is it? So on one hand, we have triggers which trigger maybe negative emotions, but on the other hand, there could be triggers which bring in a state of relaxation. And what is the moment by moment emotional state during this therapy session, we can also measure very accurately. And this paves the way for also giving a kind of a mental health forecast. So that can be kind of a roadmap. It can give us a roadmap for our own mental health. So specifically for heartfulness, if we look at ourselves as abhyasis and using this device, we can get a 60-minute meditation report. We can get a 15-minute psychological profile, which of course needs to be interpreted by an expert. The report, we can largely learn to read it ourselves. It will be not that difficult, but the psychological profile will need the help of an expert. We can also get reports of the customized therapies that we may be undertaking. So we know what is working and what is not. We will be organizing workshops. We already do as part of the Heartfulness initiatives. And in these workshops, we can also apply these devices to see how our offerings are working for these groups. We can create, based on these results, we can create high quality content. It will also help us to fine tune our content for our offerings. So we can, with TerraBlue, we can co-create content, and we can also train people better with some more of professional insights and inputs. So our level of trainers also can be fine-tuned and improved. And of course, we will be looking to create in due course wellness programs with licensed therapists. We will be able to train therapists. We will be able to offer scientifically designed programs and customized packages. So this is the kind of roadmap we are looking at. For the immediate, we have this opportunity at Kanha during the coming Bhandara. We will be offering the device for screening, and you can book your slots. This process will start on the 20th and will go on until the 29th of September. So those who are visiting Kanha can take this opportunity. You can go on to our website, which is shantlounge.com. Please take a screenshot of this or note this down. Shantlounge.com will take you to the website with the option of understanding the product better. Then it will give you the option of booking a slot, and it will also give a couple of other options to understand. You can also write on shant.lounge@tablux.com for any specific. And of course, you can show your interest. There's a very important option here of if you're interested to pre-order the device. So there are 3 options on the website as of now, and you can take those. And we look forward to interacting with you, those who are visiting Kanha, very soon. And we will be taking this initiative forward further from there as we go along. So as of now, we will have interaction through this website and through the email as we go along. So thank you for your patient hearing. We will be looking forward to interacting with you. Over to Lalita. You are on mute, Lalita.
Thank you. Thank you, Gyanbhai. Thank you, Raji, for this really exciting offerings that are coming up. And we look forward to visiting this when you're in Kanha in September. So thank you, everyone, for joining this and having this, joining with us for this wonderful session. Thank you, Joan. And see you all very soon in Kanha. Bye-bye.